It's a brilliant power, but you can only use it once. Sorry, if you got that reference, you're also old. Congratulations. Hey, welcome back to your randomly scheduled programming. I'm Andrew, this is Splash Page, and today we've got the intro, the first 3 episodes of season 4 of The Boys. So let's get into it, yeah? Alright, this is a lot of material, so I'm not going to go beat by beat because that's crazy. You could just watch the show. You should just watch the show. If you haven't watched the show, what are you doing here? But 3 big episodes coming in. I've seen a lot of stuff online. People maybe aren't liking this as much as other seasons, and that's fair. We're 4 seasons into a series. Things get a little drawn out. Suddenly this season, instead of the boys together, they're infighting, going after the soups. There's a lot of individualized storylines. So let's see where we left off last season. First of all, we've got Soldier Boy probably dead, Maeve significantly less super, Butcher slowly dying of a Temp V overdose, Starlight quitting the 7 and joining the boys. So that's where we are right now. Where are we going from there? Well, we open the season with the Victoria Newman rally for the Singer Newman presidential race. The woman that's popping people's heads is running for vice president of America, which is pretty impressive, especially because no one in the public knows that she's a soup. The boys know, Singer knows. She doesn't know that Singer knows, I don't think. Well, first, Homelander shows up and there's that tenseness there. This whole 3 episodes, well, this whole series is about tenseness. He says, I'm not a murderer. It was self-defense. That guy threw a bottle at my boy. That bottle could have had anthrax in it. Not that the anthrax would have hurt us, but it's about the principle. Which I've decided if I do gain superpowers, my soup name is going to be The Principal. I don't know that my powers will have anything to do with my name, but it's a great name. The Principal is here. I could run a school of elementary-aged children. That would be terrible. The boys are there on a sting operation to sneak into Victoria Newman's hotel room and basically poison her, I believe. She kind of catches them. They weren't that covert. They got caught by her daughter Zoe, who happens to also be superpowered, and has the power of Ben Hargreaves, number 6 from the Umbrella Academy, with just squids coming out of her mouth. Their escape plan is to jump out of a window from 8 stories up, which surprisingly works because Starlight, Annie, figures out how to fly, kinda, and was able to catch, or Frenchy was able to catch her, and Kimiko is able to rebuild her skin and bone from splatting 8 stories down. So good on her. She's still with us. It looked a little sketchy. It looked like Annie was actually going for Kimiko and missed her, but then Frenchy would have been dead. So I don't know where that was going. But Victoria Newman obviously realized they were made. They weren't covert at all. She shows up at the van and catches Huey off guard. And that's one of the big tensions too. It could have been a bigger tension, honestly. I thought it should have been more of... Last season, Huey and Victoria were like best friends working together trying to stop soups. And now Huey finds out that she has powers, and she finds out that he's trying to kill her. And both of them, at least Victoria, is very concerned about their friendship. Like, she didn't want to lose that friendship with Huey. And Huey was very upset to lose his friendship with her. But now they're basically in a Cold War. Well, they got to get to Cold War. They're in a hot war. They're trying to get to Cold War with the mutually assured destruction. And actually, that brings us to Butcher, who's having a time this season. And he talks to Victoria behind everyone's back. And before he goes, he wants to do one good thing and save Ryan. And he needs Victoria Newman's help. And in order for her to help him, she wants the blackmail Huey has on her. And he almost does it too, if it wasn't for those rascally conscience of his that comes in the form of his ex-wife's ghost, who tells him, I think you're going to do something crappy to Huey, find another way. So he actually backtracks on that and doesn't hurt Huey by getting rid of his blackmail to give to Victoria. It's hard to say that Butcher is getting a conscience, that he's becoming a better person, considering where he started. But I guess every little bit counts, right? He is becoming a better person because, like, he wanted to kill Ryan when he first met him. His ex-wife convinced him not to, but he didn't do it because he didn't want to. But this season, he hooks up with this guy, with an old friend of his, Kessler, who gives him a crap ton of sedative, which he bakes into special cookies and tries to give to Ryan, who isn't hungry at the moment. And then they happen to bond on a human level and on a foosball level, which is the most important of bonding levels. And he throws out the cookies. He doesn't want to sedate and kidnap his wife's son. Does that make him a good person? No. But look at where he's coming from. It makes him a better person than where he started, no? But what we do know, or what I think we know, is that Kessler will be a problem. He wants Ryan dead or trained, and Butcher's decided he doesn't want that anymore. Butcher's having a lot of tension with all the boys. He's losing his leadership position when he finally came clean and told them that he was dying of Temp V. That's when MM really kicked him out. Not because he told the truth, but because he's a liability to the team now. He's sick. He can't act to his fullest. But he's still not allowed back on the team. Every time he's there, he upsets everyone. He's just an awful person, despite him getting better. But he is a good leader for this team. That's the other thing. He would be a terrible leader for, say, a baseball team, or for, say, a president of the country, or the head of a company. But he's a perfect leader for this specific team of people who want to kill superpowered humans. Righteously, I guess. So if he doesn't want to kill Ryan now or train Ryan, Kessler will probably become a problem. He also doesn't like that Annie has joined the team because he doesn't feel that she's one of them. He's always had a problem with her when Huey started dating her. He's an obstruction. That's what they call him. That's what the elevator called him. That was the first scene there when MM said, "Don't let him on the elevator," and the elevator said, "Please remove obstruction," and then Kimiko pushed him back. He didn't make it on the elevator. Also, we find out later on, Homelander's not happy that Ryan went to visit Butcher. He found out, he smelled Butcher on him, which is creepy. Yeah, it's a superpower, so there's that, but it's like your dad is a wolf? Okay. But he smelled Butcher on him, and he said, and I love this, there was that Freudian slip of, "Why aren't I good enough for you? I've given you everything I've always wanted." Not you've always wanted, I've always wanted. A lot of times when they do a Freudian slip in a show, they'll call it out and say, "Didn't you mean?" This time they didn't. Ryan is young. He didn't understand. He's frightened. He might not have heard him. Homelander's never going to correct himself. So I like that they just left that in, and it is truly what he was doing. He's not trying to give Ryan what Ryan wants or what Ryan needs. He's trying to give Ryan what he wanted. We'll move along to, let's say, Annie. Let's move along to Starlight, because basically her story is pretty simple. She's got not much going on. She's not Starlight. She's talked into becoming Starlight, becoming a symbol. She doesn't want to be a symbol. She's got to deal with that. Okay, it's not a huge storyline. Huey, his father, just had a heart attack. He's in a coma, and there was an interesting storyline of like missed small talk regrets. And I wish I could still talk to him, and I hope it works out. But then there's also the added storyline of him running into his estranged mother who left when he was 6. And there's a whole storyline of him coming up with like Seinfeld-like jerk store comebacks that he runs back to the hospital like the next day to yell at her what he should have said, which is a funny gag, and it's also emotional. And it also ends with, as an adult, him empathizing a little bit with his mother when she tells him that she'd been depressed and she wanted to kill herself because she wasn't good as a mother, which again, you could take that personally, but how? Like, it's not you, it's the child. The platonic ideal of a child, not him specifically. That's hard to understand when you're 6 years old and when you're never told that. So they kind of maybe not heal, but start the process thereof. So he's off on his own doing that a lot of the time. And while Huey's healing, both Kimiko and Frenchy are unraveling. Frenchy runs into someone in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, someone whose family he killed years ago, and they start dating. They didn't start dating at first, and Kimiko thought that he wasn't committing because he wanted to be with her. He wasn't committing because he had killed this guy's father, and he didn't. He's not telling Kimiko that, so he's kind of drinking to cover the pain, and she's kind of having some PTSD too, seeing signs of other people being held captive, drinking a little bit, drunk texting other people's boyfriends, and then convincing Frenchy to go fight the Shining Light cell with her when he comes to all fucked up on acid. He can't fight. He's seeing little duckies and hearts and emojis while she's kicking ass. In that moment, he wanders off and has to deal with his own hallucinations of his boyfriend and the family that he killed and all the people that he's killed. And he's really starting to get depressed about all this death and murder that he's been dragging around with him his whole life. Even though he says he regrets it, he still does it. And then when he wanders back, he sees Kimiko letting a familiar face. She recognizes a girl in the Shining Light and lets her go, and she won't explain who that is to Frenchy. So they've stopped communicating and started self-medicating instead. So that's not going great for either of them. We'll see where that leads to. Let's move on to Homelander's midlife crisis. We start the season with him finding a gray pube. While he's talking about his son's possible film, he overhears with a super hearing some of the background people discussing Dawn of the Seven and how much CGI they had to do to cover all the neck flaps, the wrinkles on the Seven, because they're elderly already at 40-ish, but that's Hollywood for you. So he's kind of having a depressive midlife crisis. He has a meeting with his team, with his minions, and gets furious when they agree to everything he says because they're frightened of him, and rightly so. They go through a number of options for the new Seven to add to the team, and on his own, he decides to go with an African woman named Sister Sage, or she just likes to go by Sage, the smartest person in the world. And he picks her because he thinks he's the kind of person that likes to surround himself with smart people to listen to. He is not, and he doesn't listen to her a lot of the time, as we'll see, but he does choose her to join him as kind of like a marketing agent, a background. Help me do the things I need to do so that my life has meaning. I save people, they cheer. I kill people, they cheer. It doesn't matter what I do, they cheer. I don't know why that's so tough on him, but his life is meaningless right now. So he needs Sage to give him some meaning. And she starts by scouting another member of the Seven that eventually joins the team called Firecracker. And Firecracker is a pro-Homelander, anti-Starlight YouTuber whose secret superpower is a lack of subtlety. Just complete lack of it whatsoever. She calls out the left-leaning Supes and Starlight. She's basically tells Sage that she's selling a story, right? She's selling, wouldn't you rather be a warrior in a secret war than a nameless nobody that sits at home and no one will remember them? So that's what she thinks she's doing. She's shit stirring to give people purpose. What that purpose is, maybe not that great, but that's what she's doing. That's her thing. So Sage gives her a mission. She says, meet me in this room at 9. A couple of the boys overhear it. They plan on listening in, and they kind of walk into a trap. Sage is the smartest person in the world, and she knew that they were gonna find them there. Basically, she invited Firecracker there to kill the boys, to prove herself. So Firecracker and her aide, who's in love with her, named Splinter, whose superpower is reproducing asexually, just split in half. The clothing doesn't split with him, but apparently either he carries a half a dozen guns with him all the time, or the gun splits in half. I don't know how his powers work. Doesn't matter too much, because as the fight ensues, he ends up getting killed off. So we don't have to worry about him. I like how they use that superpower of the duplicating person. When you kill the main one, the rest of them stay alive for like 13 seconds or so before they can call out their regrets and, say goodbye. Interesting. I guess you wouldn't know about that part of the power until you died, and then you never get to use it again. It's a brilliant power, but you can only use it once. Sorry. If you got that reference, you're also old. Congratulations. So yeah, Firecracker gets to join the Seven. She hates Starlight, and we find out why. They were on the same pageant circuit, and Starlight kind of said that she was in an orgy with all the judges, and that's the only reason she got that far. In a moment of Starlight created her own Joker supervillain kind of scenario. So that's the Seven now. It's Homelander, A-Train, the Deep, new Black Noir, a guy pretending to be Black Noir, Sage, and Firecracker, whose power is a little firecracker in her fingers. And apparently, she says she's really strong. But her real power is a lack of subtlety. Keep that in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, the court case of the century. The case against Homelander. But don't worry about it. Sage is on the job. She knows, because she's so smart, she's figured it out, that he will be acquitted, exonerated. And then she sets it up by inviting 3 of Homelander's biggest fans, one of them, Mother's Milk's ex-wife's ex-boyfriend, to come up to the tower and meet their hero Homelander, where he orders Black Noir, the Deep, and A-Train to murder them with baseball bats. And then, after Homelander is exonerated, Sage throws a coffee cup, starts a riot. They have A-Train drop the dead bodies off to show that the Starlighters killed some of the Homelander backers. Homelighters? What are they called? No, that was when they were a couple. I forget what the Homelanders back. I'm going to call them Homelanders. That's what you're going to have to deal with that. Which is kind of a brilliant plan if you don't have A-Train double cross you because he feels bad or because he's frightened of Homelander, and he hands over the evidence that those guys didn't kill those 3 Homelander backers, over to the boys, over to Annie and Huey, I think it was, so that they can exonerate the men for murder, which really frustrates Sage. She takes away the Deep's crime analytics position, which upsets him, and then she starts looking into who did this, which is really putting the pressure down on A-Train. Now, they interrogated Anika, one of Annie Starlight's friends, and before they got any real information out of her, Homelander lasered her in the face. So he said, there you go, leak plugged. He assumes that she's the one that gave the boys the information. Or does he? I don't know. Maybe he knows something that we don't know. He's got all these superpowers. He knows A-Train's been a little shaky over the years. But he's also kind of dumb, no matter how smart he thinks he is. Ashley, who's been demoted from CEO to mascot of Vought, sees Homelander kill Anika and shreds her resignation papers because she can never leave now. That's where she's at. She's a captive at Vought. And finally, we turn to A-Train's other double cross. MM gets a meeting with him by stealing A-Train's brother's phone, and they talk. And MM is trying to convince A-Train to give him some information, to be a double agent, which is dangerous work, but MM called it correctly, and they do get some information from him, and they head over to Vought on Ice, which is truly insane, and try to bug a meeting of Newman and Homelander, Victoria Newman and Homelander, the VP and the scariest, most dangerous man on the planet. Sage comes along with Homelander, so it's the 3 of them in this meeting, and Huey, 8 feet above them in the vents, because he got caught there planting the listening device. He didn't get out fast enough. And he would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those rascally subcutaneous glands where he just drips a little sweat onto Homelander's shoulder. He smells Huey, that super smell he's got, and starts lasering the hell out of the pipes. Huey narrowly dodges the first laser, and the second laser he's blinded by Mother's Milk with a giant light from the stage show, which causes Homelander to look away and slice a woman in half, at which point the rest of the cast goes on a rampage, maiming and murdering each other with their ice skates by accident as they try to run away from a man who is no longer attacking them. Huey only gets away with it because A-Train happens to stop by and save him, and when Huey asks him, why did you do that? He just runs off. Either he doesn't want to tell him or he doesn't know himself why he did that. Because sure, he could be a double agent. That doesn't mean he has to save Huey. Maybe he's feeling bad again for the girlfriend that he ran through. And also, finally, we have The Deep confronts Sage about taking away his crime analytics position because Sage has given him the confidence to do so. She said, "Why do you let Ashley talk to you like that?" And the Deep confronts Ashley and gets her scared of him. I kind of really feel bad for Ashley, no matter how awful she is. And then he confronts Sage now and says, "You took away my position." And she says, it's been a tough day. You want some bloomin' onion? And she's obviously depressed, as a lot of super smart people are. They got screwed. They're not doing what they want to do. They know why things aren't working. So they bond over a bloomin' onion and then just have some meaningless sex. That'll get interesting. For a moment there, I thought Sage was trying to double cross Homelander and take down the Seven when she told Deep to turn on Ashley to get himself into Ryan's save when they scripted the save, and then Homelander didn't listen to Sage, showed up anyway, and scared Ryan into murdering the stuntman. Uh, she got the. I mean, she was. It looked like she was really getting in there and putting wedges between all the characters, but then by the end, no, she's full on. It looks, at least to me, to my eyes at this point, 3 episodes in, looks like she's full on Homelander's side, which now he's extra frightening because he was strong and dangerous and petty, and now he has a smart person to help him. If he listens to her, he can take over the world. Luckily for us, he won't listen to her. Also, luckily for us, this is a television show and not real life. Well, thank you for watching. This has been fun. I'll see you after episode 4 when we continue your randomly scheduled programming. I'm Andrew. This has been Splash Page. See you next time, guys. Later.